So let us start with a GUI. So let me create a file right over here. Okay, so we got the file. And now, so for starting with the GUI, the first thing that we require is to import the library tkinter. There is one more library that I won't tell you right now because it will make complex out of it. But today we'll prefer tkinter for making the GUI. Okay. So just how to import it, we'll just import like this, import tkinter. This is the way, this is the method. And we can use, means for example, if we want to use tkinter, we need to write tkinter every time, tkinter dot some other functions, tkinter dot these functions. So we can reduce any imports as using the as keyword. Okay, so let us reduce it as tk. Now whenever we use tk, that resembles that we are using tkinter directly. Okay, so first thing that we need to do while initiating the GUI is to create a window. So first step is to create a window. Okay, so for create a window, let us take a variable root, which is the common variable that we used to take always. Now tk, this tk is this one, means tkinter dot tk. Now you can see over here, one t is capital, another t is small, another k is small. So this is how we write, and this is how the windows come into play. Now when the windows come into play, now if we open this, if we execute this, then the window has been created and it will get executed. Dot slash webinar 3.0 session 4 day 3. Okay, so we have executed. You can see there is nothing that has opened, but the file has no errors. It has been executed properly. This is because we have opened the window, but we haven't told the compiler that we want to keep the window until we tell it to close it down. So for that, we need a loop, and for in tkinter, we have a loop like root dot main loop. This is the loop that will help us to execute the window for n number of times, means with no limits, until unless we tell it to close it down. Now let us execute this. Now you can see a window has opened, and when we close it, it will get closed. Until then, it will not. So this is how we just create a window using root, using tk.tk. Now I told you as keyword. Now if I used to write over here directly tkinter, so it will also take. If I directly write this, it will also initiate it. Okay, did we make some mistake? Okay, let me eliminate this. See, so if you write directly tk enter, then also it will give us the same value. But to reduce it, because always if we write this much big keyword, it will take a lot of time. So we just reduced it to tk, and we will use tk every time when we use it. It will directly resemble tk enter. I hope this was clear to you how to create a window. First step. Now the first thing that we want to write something inside it. Okay, so to write something inside it, we need to create a label. So for creating a label, let me write it down. Creating label. So similarly, I will just comment it. I will just tell you how to do it from the starting. We first of all will create a window. Create a window. So to create a window, we'll just take on the root that is equals to tk.tk, and inside this we're gonna create the label. Now to create a label, first of all we'll require a variable. Let it be L. Okay, the variable is L, and now tk dot label. So capital L A B E L, tk dot label. Then where we need to create the label? Obviously the window that we have created. We need to create the label in the window that we have created. So we'll just create the label right over here. So we'll just go for root. We'll create the label at root. And now we need to pass on the text that we want to write in the label. So we'll just pass on the text, hello world. So this is the text. And now we'll just execute. So we have created the label, and now we'll just get on. We have created the label in the window of that we created, that is root. And now just we'll execute this using root dot main loop. Okay, so according to you, it should get into play, but you can see over here we are not getting anything. This is because we haven't packed this entire thing into the window. That means we haven't implemented the label inside the window. We have created a label inside the window root, but we haven't implemented it, inserted it inside it. So to insert it, there are several methods. One of that method is pack. There are basically three methods that are used: pack, grid, and place. Okay, we'll just go in brief with all those. So first of all, we'll do with pack. So for packing, we can do that L dot pack with the function. Now if we execute it, you will find that we are getting a label right over here, hello world. Okay, so this is how a label could be made in a window, and this is just directly its label that is over here. Okay, if you want to get some titles and all, so you can have it like root dot title. You can change the title name also, title, and it is something like if you want to have test. So if you execute this, then the title of the box will change to test. Okay, maybe there's a syntax error. Just check it out once. Okay, let me execute this once again. Yeah, so we'll just execute it, and let me zoom it out so you can see it is giving us test. So we'll just zoom it out a little so you can see it's giving us test over here. This is the title that we have set. Okay, I hope this is clear, how to create a label, how to set a title into the window. Now next thing that we're gonna do, for example, you want multiple labels. Now if you wanna just go for it, just copy this and paste this. Now if you have the same variables, it doesn't matter, I believe. So you can see we are getting the multiple labels. One is getting packed one after the other. If you have different variables, you can have differently. Okay, so this is how you can go for it. Now you can also use the grid system. Okay, so grid system, what it is, I will just explain you what is the grid system. So let me take a tool for explaining. For example, you have four labels. Okay, so when you have four labels, like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 labels right over here. So when you have four labels, that means you will get a box, a grid created, and that grid will be 4 cross 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And over here also 4 lines will be there. So this is the maximum grid that you will be getting. Okay, 4 cross 4. If you have 5, then you will have 5 cross 5. 5 cross 5. If you have 6, you will get 6 cross 6 grid. Okay, this is a matrix format that is given. So for example, if you have only one label created, so if you want to place it at 1 cross 4, 1 cross 4, so it is not possible, because when maximum packing systems are there in only one, that means the maximum that a box can be created is 1 cross 1. That's it. So you cannot make a 1 cross 4 box right away. I will just show you each thing. Let me just show you, erase all these drawings, and I will just show you. Let's comment this part. and we'll move to grid system. Okay, so over here also we'll just create the root. Root equals to tk dot tk, and then we'll create a label. L equals to tk dot label. Inside it, we want the label in the root, and then we want it as a text should be text equals to let the text be name. Okay, this is the text that we have created right over here, and then we can have we'll just use the grid system. L dot grid. Okay, this is the grid system, and over here we'll pass on the row and column values. Okay, so we'll pass on the row and column. So we'll just write row equals to which row we want. For example, the row starts from 0. So if you write 0 and the column, if we write 1, so we want that this grid should be placed at 0, 1. Now I will just make the loop root dot main loop, and we'll just pass on this over here. So you can see we are not getting any 0, 1. We are not getting anything like 0, 1. Rather, we are just getting your normal thing. Okay, that is 0, 0. There is not. It should come over here, right over here, but it is coming to only over here. This is because the box can be created of maximum 1 cross 1. Now, if I make another grid, another label, I will just copy this, and I made another label. Now it is consists of maybe class. Okay, it consists of class, and now I'm just taking it as 0, 0. Now I will find it that this grid is existing now. Now the total grid becomes 2 cross 2, so that is 0, 1 and 0, 1. So 0, 1, both numbers are valid. So now this will become at the top, and this will come at the second position. So I will just execute it and let it show to you. So if you go for it, so you can see, just zoom it out a little. Okay, so you can see 0, 0 is class. So first is class, and second at 0, 1 we are getting column. But if you previously what happened, as the system was 1 cross 1, now if you want to make it at 2, at the position 2, it will not work. It will not work. If you execute it, it will be as the same as it is at the same position. This is because the maximum box that we can create is 1 cross 1. Sorry, 2 cross 2. Okay, so this is what the grid system is, and there are many other things that are there, that like relative x-axis, y-axis. You can give a proper x and y-axis, relative height, relative width, and many more things are there. Proper height and width also you can adjust in the grid system. You can go for it you can go for searching TK Intel library grid system, and you will find all the basic things that are there in the grid system. So this is how this thing is there. Now if you want to make a form, for example, if you want to make a form, like if you want to make 3 things like name, address, and class, maybe 3 things. Okay, so how to create the form? So first of all, to create a form, we need to do little things, like we have 2 grids. Now we need to place it properly. 0, 0 is the name, and row 1, column 0 is the class. This is what we have done. Now we require some text box. Okay, so we require some text box. So for text box, what we require, we to create a text box. For example, let me change the variables over here. Class. Okay, let it be C, and I'm just using C.grid. And similarly, we'll have a entry for name. So let me change it to N, and this to N. Okay. Now this is good. Now if you want to take an entry, NE, let it the variable name, NE equals to tk dot entry. Now entry is for input box if we want to create, and we want to create it at root. Okay. Now ne dot grid, now row equals to which row we want. Now this is the name. So name is at 0, 0. I will take it at 0, 1, 0th row and first column. And similarly, I will just go for your class entry. Okay, and this will be as tk.label. tk.entry root. And now this will be ce.grid. Now it can have row equals to 1 and column equals to 1. And now this will be row 1, column 1. Yeah, this is good. Fine. So we'll just save this and we'll just execute this and we'll just see to it that what it is coming. It is coming somewhere like this. You can see over here, it is coming somewhere like this, and you can write anything in this input boxes. Now there are several things that I told you, like width, height, comma, height. If you want to adjust the height equals to 20 maybe. So if you are writing 20, then if you execute it, okay, there is some error. Height must be column iPad. Okay, sorry. So in grid, we have to adjust the height as pad Y. Okay, so we are just writing pad Y and we are just adjusting the height. So you can see, okay, it's the external padding. That is external differences between the two particular rows. Okay, now if you give the internal padding iPad Y, now this will ensure you the height of the internal. You can see height of the class has increased. Okay, this is the internal padding. Similarly, there is iPad X, pad X. Okay, you have a lot of many options like call span. Call span means two columns. You are just merging two columns and making one particular column. So this is what call span is. So similarly, you can do many other things like this. And now one more method of doing this, doing the grid system is like we have created another like age equals to tk.label and over here root, and I'm just writing age text equals to age. Okay, now I will just pack it. And now if I don't want to create an age over here, okay, if I don't want to create a variable age, so I will just remove this and grid it right over here, dot grid, and inside that I will just pass on a row equals to maybe 2, 0, 1, 2, and column equals to 0. Okay, so this is done. Now we'll just execute this and it will, okay, there is some issue. tk dot capital L, so we missed it with a small l. Now we'll execute this and you can find that we are getting age right over here. So we have not taken any other variables. We are directly writing the age right over here, and this will give us the output. Now if you want to go for searching like how to get the tk enter everything, so you will just need to write tk enter Python library. So you will find many things to learn out of it. You can go through it. Okay, you will find many of the options over here: canvas, button, check button. We'll go some of the things. We have done entry, we have done label. Okay, we'll do buttons, we'll do drop downs, There are many other like text, top level, panel window. You can see to it. Many other things are there. Now geometry. See what I was talking about, the place. So if you want to learn something like what is place, you will just have to click it and you will find it out what is place, how to place the options. These are the anchor, border mode, height, width. These are the placing things. Means at what height, at what width you want to give it, or x and y axis. This is the way of orientation. See, place at border mode outside. That means border will be at outside and the height and width will be 100. Okay, so at the center we are just placing of the border. So this is how we are just taking this. So you can just go through it uh, for your reference purpose, for enhancing your knowledge. This is the things that you can go for it. Now if you want to fix the height of the window, for example height and width of the window, if you want to fix it, so you can go for root.geometry. I hope the spelling is wrong. Geometry. And now inside this, the window, like if I want a window like 200 cross 300, okay, so I will just execute this and I will get the window as 200 plus 300. For example, if I want to make a window for 1200 cross 700, so if I execute this, I will get a window 1200 plus 700. So this is what we can fix the height, the geometry of the window size that we are creating right over here. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. Now, next we're gonna go for frames. Now, what are frames? Frames are actually a you can say a container, a sub container created inside the window. Okay, so we'll just go for frames right now. Created inside a window. So to start it, we'll again start with a window. Root is equals to tk.tk. Now we'll create a frame. So the first frame, let it be frame 1. Let us create 2 frames. So we're gonna create it like tk.frame, and we'll create it as a root. Now this frame has become the container, and whatever we write inside this frame will consist over here only. Okay, I'll just show you. Now we need to pack it, so we'll just pack it frame 1.pack, then only it will get implemented. Yeah. So now similarly we will create a frame 2. Now I'll tell you why we are creating another frame. So if I execute this directly like this, you will not able to understand anything because it is a blank container and it is not colored until we fill up some color into it. Now frame 2 dot pack. Okay, so we have done this frame 2 dot pack. Now if we just get to the root dot main loop. So if you execute this, there is some mistake. tk enter has no frame. Okay, I have made the frame as small. F should be capital. Okay. Now if we execute this, so you can see we are getting a blank container. Okay, let me fix the geometry also. Root.geometry 500. Okay, 500 cross 500. So if you execute this, if you execute it, then there is nothing. Okay, there is nothing to see. Now we will just get some labels onto this frame. Okay, to just find it out that if we are just getting a proper label, so we'll just get some labels into it, like L1, maybe the label 1. So tk.label, and inside that we'll just create. If you were creating the labels in the root, and now we'll create the label into the frame 1, and the text is frame 1. Okay, similarly we'll just pack on this pack. Similarly, we'll create a label 2, L2, and we'll just create a tk dot label frame 2 text equals to frame 2. Okay, so let us execute this and let us check what is the output right over here. Okay, so we'll just need to execute it again. Webinar 3.0, session 4, day 3. Okay, so if you execute it, you will find that we are getting frame 1 and we are not getting frame 2, that because we haven't packed it. So let us pack frame 2 also, L2.pack. And now if we execute it, we'll find frame 2 also. So this is frame 1, this is frame 2, and both are executed in different frames. So now how to create that? What is the use of this frame? There are two containers that are made from over here to here. There are two containers. And now if you want to execute it, like we can change the side. So while we are just creating the packing this, we'll just make this side as side equals to tk dot bottom. Okay, side equals to tk dot bottom. That means we are making the frame 2 as the bottom sided. So if we are making this, now see, one is at the top, another is the bottom. So this is what frames helps us to do. Now for root, we can't do this because if we are making the root on the packed at the bottom, then it is not possible, right? So this is how we can use different frames and to pack it differently. Now there are several keywords like if you want to change the label color, then you can change it like FG using the keyword FG. So if you want to change this color FG equals to maybe red if you want to make it. So we are just making it red. So if you execute this, you will find that we are making it red. So similarly, there are some background colors, there are some foreground colors. So this is what it is. I believe BG is the keyword for background colors. I don't remember it properly. So let us check once. Let it be yellow or blue, or else yellow will be good. Let us just execute this. See, you can see this frame has this many background. We are just making the label as BG, and we are just making the background right over here. So this is what FG, BG, these are the keywords for background, foreground colors. So similarly, you can make this also as a choice. So these are the things like if you want to have a background color over here, you can have it like BG equals to red, maybe. So if we just execute this, okay, I believe there is some mistake, maybe. Okay, this frame doesn't support. I believe we need to just go for the research, see what all keywords does this frame attributes has. Okay, so we need to just go for this and just set our according to the attributes that that particular function has. So similarly, the frame option, I hope you have understood what is frame and how to do with it. Now next thing what we will go forward is we have done how to create the entry, how to create the frame, and now we'll just go for how to create the buttons. So to create the button, we'll just eliminate this and coming over here to buttons. Now root first of all is equals to tk.tk, and then let us set the geometry also. Root.geometry equals to 500 cross 500. Similarly, we'll just now create a button. Let it be b equals to tk.button. So this is how to create a button. Now these are several attributes like where we need to create the button. The first thing is common. We need to create it at root. Now what is the text that should be written over the button? Let it be click here. Click here is the text that is written in the button. Okay, if you want to have some color for the button, you can change the color of the text. You can change the color using the BG or FG, whatever you want. Like if you were take a BG and if you make a color like let it be hash EA405A maybe. Now we'll just pack it on b.pack and we'll just take to the root dot main loop. Now we'll just execute it. So let us execute this. And you'll find that we're getting a button. If you want to change the foreground of this click here. If you want to make to green, you can make it like FG equals to maybe white, and I want to make it. Okay, so I will just put it down over there, white, and I will just execute this. So you can see we are getting the white over here. So this is the way how to use the button, and this will be clickable. Okay, this will be clickable. Now there are many things that we can do with it. Means when the button gets clicked, we can do many other things like we can create a label out of it. We can change the text of the label, and many other things that we can do as per the button is clicked. For example, uh, let us create a label, or else let us comment this, and let us go for a button click. Let us go for a button click. And let us execute a root equals to tk root dot geometry equals to 500 cross 500. Now we'll have something like a button click. So let us create a button. Okay, let us create a label first. Label equals to tk dot label, and we'll just write on the label as first of all we want the label at root, and we'll just write it the text equals to click to change. Okay, click to change. Now we are just telling the that if we want a click button to change. Okay, just we are writing over here click button to change. And now we'll just okay, I made a mistake over here. We need to write it true, and now we have written click button to change. Now this is the label content that we have made, and now we'll just pack it l.pack. We have just packed it. Similarly, we need to create a button also. So we'll just create a button b equals to tk dot button, and inside this we'll just go the button to the root, and the text in the button is maybe click here. Okay, no other things that we wanted over here, so we'll just pack on the button b.pack. Now we'll just make the main loop root dot main loop. Okay, now we'll just execute this. There is some button. Okay, the B should be capital. Yeah, right. Now we'll just execute this, and we'll find that we have some button. But if we want that something should happen when we click it, if we want something like something should happen when we click this button, so for that what we need to do, we need to create a command. So we need to write command equals to, we need to write the function. Maybe function is on click. On click is the function that we created. Now over here function doesn't mean to have a parenthesis out after this, but when we are calling this means when we are defining this function, at that moment we require a parenthesis. So if we define a function right over here, if we define a function like def on click, this is the function that we have defined. And now on click, what should happen? Okay, so maybe on click, we can make it as button click. So let us store a string st equals to button click. Okay, now we need to change the text. We need to change the text of this label. Okay, that button has been clicked, we need to change it. So let us change the text. So to change the text, we need to call the this variable L, and we need to change the text out of it. So we'll just change the text. So this is how we can change this attribute of a label that is created. Okay, we are just changing the text out of it, and we are changing the text using st. That's it. So over here, st, we have stored button click, and now we're changing the text through st, and just we'll just execute this now. So when we are clicking the button click, the check text change to button click. Now if you want to check how many times the button has been clicked, so every time the function get called, you need to just execute it. Now if you make a variable right over here like c equals to 0, and whenever the button is clicked, we just make it at c++, c equals to c plus 1. Okay, now if we was just get a plus right over here and execute c, and this should be string, so we'll just make it into strc. And now if we execute this, so what happens whenever we click it, it's just showing us that how many times it has been clicked. Just a space, and now we'll execute it again so that it is a better display for us. Now when we click it, it is showing us it is clicked, but we are clicking many times, it is only showing 1. This is because we are creating the variable right over here. So we need to create the variable in the global. Okay, now if you create a variable in the global, then what happens? I will just show you what happens. There is no error. Now if you just execute this, and if you just execute this, it will throw you an error. There was no error, but there is a runtime error. Now what is the runtime error? When we are just going for it, it is asking for C. Now C locally is not defined. There is no initial value with the local C. Okay, but globally it is defined, but this is a local C that has been used. To use the global C, as we have already discussed, we need to use global keyword global C. Now it will always add to the global C by 1 whenever the button is clicked, and you will get the exact value that it will be getting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, n number of times whenever you click, you will get the values as per your choice. So this is what the simplest way that I could make you understand how to make a function on button click. So it could be anything, like if you are going for a label, if you are changing the background, if you are changing the foreground color, whatever you want to change, you can change it. Like if you want to change the foreground color, then you can change it right over here. Like if you want to make the foreground color as blue, so you can just go for it. So when we execute this, when we click it, the foreground color becomes blue. That's it. There is no text change, only the foreground color has become blue. So this is what you can go for. Any attribute, you can change it, you can use those on button click, you can add on something, get out the values, so many things that you can do. You can get the data out of it. Okay, so many other values that you can make out of it. So this is what the entire thing is all about. Now there is the entry. Now if you want to get some data from the entry, then you have the get out of get, like we'll just move back to the entry. We'll just create another, like entry get on button click, if you are making this. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just create a root that is equals to tk.tk, and we'll just go for maybe an entry box. Okay, so we'll just create t equals to tk dot entry, and we're going to create it to root. I have not set the geometry, root dot geometry, and inside that we'll just pass on 500 cross 500. This is normal x, nothing other than this, normal small x it is. So we have created this. Now I will just go for the high version of it, like I will just pack it out right over here. Similarly, I will just create a button here, and over here in the root itself, okay, the text is text equals to enter text. Okay, now I will just pack it out. I'll just put on some command. I will just show you, then I will just put on some command on it. And now the next thing I need to do, maybe I'll just create a label. Oh, okay, I will just tell you afterwards how to create it. Root dot main loop. So we'll just execute this, and we'll just see that we are getting a text over here, and we are getting an enter text option. Okay, so to get this text, for example, on button click, we need to enter the text. So we need to have a command over here. Command equals to or text entry. Text entry is my function, so I need to define that function right over here. Def text. Okay, sorry. Def text entry. Text entry is our function right over here. And similarly, we'll do the rest thing. So yeah. So now what we require, if this text is entered, for example, we have created, we want the entry data. Okay. Now to get the entry data, I need to go for this storage. So I need to store this somewhere, and I need to pack it so that I could reference the variable. Okay. So let it be data for D and L dot get. So this is how we're gonna get it. L dot get, and we'll just get whatever value there is in, and if you want to check it, we can use the print function right away here. There is a Python function, print D, and we'll get this data. So we'll just let us see if you're getting something data, like if you're writing Amar, pressing enter. So we are getting Amar, right? We are getting Amar right over here. You can see. If you're writing something else, you are getting this data. We are getting this data right over here. That means it is working great, and we are getting the entries. Now, if you want to do something like this, if you want to make a label right over here, and you want to change the text every time, so what you can do, you can just create a label out of it. Like if you want to create a label out of it, label equals to tk dot label and root. That's it. I will not write any other means what you can say. I will not write any other text from beginning, so that it looks quite natural, and suddenly some text comes into play whenever we write on text over there in the entry box. So we'll just execute this. We'll just execute this. Okay. Label. Okay, there was a mistake. Now it is working fine. I hope so. Now whatever thing we want to write, it should come into play right over here. Okay, so we'll just do one thing. We have created the label. Now we'll reference this label right over here, and we'll just write it down like label. Text of label should be changed to, now to what? To whatever entry we are getting that is stored in D. So we'll just write it down to D. So when we are writing this, that means we are changing the text to D always whenever we are writing. Like if you are writing Amar, and now when we press enter, Amar comes into play. Now whatever we write, press enter, that thing comes into play. Okay, it's on us. Whatever we write, how we write, we can go it. I hope this is clear to you. If everything that we got to know today, if that is clear to you, just put on in the comment section that is clear. Or else if you have any doubt, just let me know in the comment section. Thank you for today's session. It was a great today.